Good morning, and apologies not for being able to be there in person, but thank you for the opportunity to be able to tell you about the available infrastructure and activities we have underway in the area of multiomics and data science. So my name is Paul Skipp. I'm Professor of Proteomics and Director of the Centre for Proteomic Research. I'm also currently the lead for the Integrated Molecular Phenotyping Centre, which is bringing together all of our omic technologies across the university and capabilities in data science together. But before I sort of move into sort of discussing the IMPC, I thought I would give you an example of just a single omics infrastructure. And of course, naturally, I chose proteomics. So the Centre for Proteomic Research carries out both fundamental and applied proteomic research with a range of industrial and academic collaborators. These range from big pharma through to healthcare, through to technology development companies and software companies. We have a range of projects currently underway. These involve proteomics, but also immunopeptidomics and protein structural characterization. These span across the biological areas of, for example, cancer sciences, dermatology and skin sensitization. We have a big program in respiratory disease, looking at asthma, COPD, and cystic fibrosis, a range of microbial pathogens, all the way from, of course, SARS-CoV-2, all the way through to looking at the microbiome and also, of course, biofilms in CNS, signal transduction, but also with our environmental groups as well. So we're doing a lot of work in terms of, for example, looking at oceanographic organisms, for example. And of course, to not be reliant on off-the-shelf technology, we also develop some of our own technologies around the areas of microfluidics and data acquisition, but importantly also develop novel methods for high-dimensional data analysis and data integration. And so here we just have a few pictures of the centre, and you can see here is a list of instrumentation, and so we have the latest mass spectrometers, state-of-the-art mass spectrometers, sample handling and liquid handling robots. So I thought I'd provide just a couple of examples. So for example, we were rapidly able to develop during the pandemic a mass spectrometry based test. So this was working with academic partners across the UK, with our local NHS pathology labs and industry. And we were able to develop an accredited test for COVID-19 within around 3 to 4 months. Building on this success, we're now progressing this to the development of what we call Triplex Centers, or Triplex MS hubs, which bring together academia, NHS and industry, both nationally and locally, with multiple hubs across the UK. And the focus of these centres is to develop MS-based assays for diagnostics and prognostics to really meet the challenge of precision medicine by 2030. And this doesn't necessarily mean the development of new assays and new biomarkers, although it will, but it's also about improving and multiplexing and improving sensitivity of current assays, such as ELISA. In the digital space, for example, we working in collaboration with our colleagues in maths. We developed an AI-based tool for diagnosis and prognosis. So the TopMD AI platform uses topology to measure the shape of biological pathway modulation across all of the gene and protein expression data. And this generates pathway biomarkers, which turn out to be very robust biomarkers for diagnosis, for monitoring response to therapies, for example, and patient stratification. So, for example, this sphere here is a patient's individual phenotype. If it was a healthy individual, this would be a black sphere, but obviously here we have all of those pathways which are modulated in that particular patient for that particular disease. And then this represents a network of the relationship between those molecular phenotypes. And then, of course, we're now extending this to over a million data sets currently. And of course, this doesn't necessarily have to be a patient. This could, of course, be a cell or another biological system. So this has been part of a university spin-out, which is locally based now in Southampton, called TopMD Precision Medicine. So this gives an example of just one of our omics platform. But of course, much of our research has evolved to integrating large-scale omics data sets. So that can be proteomics, glycomics, immunopeptidomics, transcriptomics, genomics, metabolomics. But also includes other data sets, such as, for example, imaging, clinical data, environmental data, and more frequently, real-time data. So the Integrated Molecular Phenotyping Centre, or IMPC, is really focused on trying to bring these data sets together under one roof, together with data science tools, use this to be able to answer new biological questions. So the projects currently within the IMPC, these range all the way from COVID, all the way through to respiratory disease, through to cancer. And these are providing new insights, for example, in diagnosis, and also in therapy, and also monitoring therapeutic response. So, for example, looking at response to biologics in asthma, for example. And this is working, locally, regionally, and internationally. The illustration I've shown here is of course biomedical, sort of based upon biomedical data sets, but this is applicable to, of course, many other areas such as environmental systems and other systems such as biofilms. And indeed, the IMPC is about bringing together the integration of all of these data under one roof. Admittedly, lots of these data sets, of course, they're individual programs of research, and they operate under different knowledge management frameworks that were specific to those projects that are currently or at the time. But the university is investing in trusted research data environments for sensitive data, and knowledge management frameworks for embedding our research data, so we can start to integrate and begin to analyze these data sets together. So just as an example, and I thought I'd use one that's really focusing our attention at the moment, of course. So diagnosing COVID-19 and crucially predicting how the disease will progress in different patients remains a real challenge. In our Dragon project, which is an EU IMI funded project, funded to the tune of 11 million, here we're using artificial intelligence and machine learning along with molecular and imaging data to develop a decision support system which is capable of delivering a more precise coronavirus diagnosis for more accurate predictions of patient outcomes. The concept here being that if we can predict whether a patient is likely to be hospitalised or admitted to ICU, then health system capacities can be managed more effectively by essentially lowering this curve. And Southampton is heavily involved in this, particularly in the area of the precision medicine, the pathway biomarkers. Underpinning this is the developed federated machine learning system that will allow the use of data across international healthcare resources while still complying with GDPR. So what this means is that models can be optimized and refined using local NHS data securely. So, for example, patient data as it's generated can update the local model, which is then distributed to the central model, but without releasing any sensitive data. And so this is currently still underway, and this isn't just focused on the current pandemic, but this is a platform that's been developed for future pandemics. Here in another example, which I thought I'd bring along, is that it's really the integration of multi-omics data in combination with computational prediction models to basically advance our ability to develop new personalised therapies. So as part of the CR UK Network Accelerator that we're involved in, we've developed a platform that integrates multiple omics, so it integrates genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, immunopeptidomics, and also additional biological knowledge to prove the identification of neoepitopes for vaccine development. And currently, the current status is around 5%, and we've improved that up to better than 35%. And these panels below here just show you some of the functional responses. So in burgundy are those neoepitopes which give a functional response. And as you can see, we get very strong functional responses, and additionally, we have multiple neoepitopes per patient. And so this has really improved that discovery process. But probably more related is that we've also developed an ex vivo fully human infection models and integrated this with this discovery platform to identify HLA class 1 and class 2 pathogen vaccine targets. And in our recent paper, we identified novel vaccine targets for flu. So these are just a few examples and really represent just a fraction of the ongoing activity. Into all of this, of course, is continuing to build excellence in life sciences. And in particular, create an environment that continues to attract talent, promote innovation, research collaboration, partnership, and investment opportunities across the university and, of course, the local region. Achieving this obviously requires a world-class supporting infrastructure that not only provides capacity, but importantly extends our capabilities through sharing expertise across otherwise disconnected disciplines, which will open up opportunities for collaboration and innovation across all of our research, shared research questions. As such, we're currently scoping the development of a precision bioscience hub, which will bring together and facilitate and foster interactions with biomedical, environmental and data sciences groups together. This just provides an outline of some of the capability that could be in that hub, all the way from containment facilities, class 2 and class 3, molecular phenotyping, biobanking, not just clinical but also environmental, molecular biology labs, and also immune technologies, so the latest technologies for characterizing, for example, antibodies, but also pinning this all together is a Bioscience Data Hub, which provides a trusted research data environment, a knowledge management framework, and data visualization capabilities, so that we can work closely with our data and our data scientists. And of course, this is not only important for our internal partnerships and collaborations, but that we see this hub as also being important for working with our external partners, both locally and regionally. And so, we'd very much like your input. And so please, if you'd like to be a part of these discussions, please let me know. So if you do have any questions or anything about the talk, then please don't hesitate to contact me. And I thank you for your time.